Who would have thought a slightly different shape would make foldables exciting again? But here we are with the new Samsung Galaxy Fold 8. When it comes to folds, personally, all day long, I'm going for the Fold 8. Yes, this has the extra camera, the telephoto lens, it has the higher megapixel main camera, it's got flex window. Looking at the specs, the marketing with the Ultra name, this is supposed to be the better phone, but personally, I would buy this, the Fold 8, save a little bit of money. And also it turns out most of you guys would also buy this because the pre-order sales data between the two suggests actually nearly 20% more people are buying the smaller one, the Fold 8. But that also could be because of the novelty element. This is the first time we've seen a form factor like this from Samsung. They're not the first ones to do a passport style fold, of course. The first Pixel Fold was closer to this. We had the Oppo Find N2, which was pretty good. But now in terms of like new 2026 foldables, Samsung's the only one so far to get this right. We'll have to see what Apple does next with their iPhone Ultra. So actually this was a pretty easy decision. Between the two, I'm gonna get the Fold 8. The harder decision is, would you spend what is basically £16.99 in pounds in the UK on this, or about 1,200-ish, about a third less for the objectively better phone, the S26 Ultra. It has much better cameras, it has a better battery life, you get better performance because there is a little bit of throttling with this. It's also got the S Pen, which neither of these folds have, which is just still bizarre to me. Quite frankly, I think if any of these phones were to have an S Pen, it should be this one, the Fold 8 Ultra. Make it a little bit thicker, but it's the Ultra, it should have a bloody S Pen. Anyway, genuinely, I've been having a blast with the Fold 8, just trying to use it in different ways, you know, using tent mode to watch shows and playing retro games on the cover screen and enjoying actually quite a decent, smallish tablet-sized viewing experience for watching videos and movies on the main screen. As I say, this aspect ratio just makes more sense in my head. But it makes less sense when you could buy a better phone that is just more comfortable and doesn't have black bars out of the side when you're scrolling through Instagram and cuts off certain bits of the website when you've got the keyboard popping up. It's like those animal shelter adverts at Christmas that say, a cat isn't just for Christmas, it's for life. Because as novel and interesting and fun as this is, I think for most of us, your money would be better spent elsewhere. Oh, come on, lighten up, Tom. Who wants to be sensible when there's a billion copy and paste rectangular slabs of glass out there, and for the first time in years, it feels like there's actually something interesting, something to make you want to download different apps and use it in different, more creative ways. And if the main issue is that it's just too expensive, well, I think I can almost guarantee the Apple folding phone is going to cost a good deal more than this. And also for a lot of us, buying phones on contract, with trade-ins, with network deals, the cost becomes less of a factor. And it's not just me who's been really enjoying this phone. Mrs. Tech Chap absolutely loves it. But when she first saw the lavender color, she was enamored, but she also loves, opened up in portrait, how it's almost exactly the same screen size as her Kindle. Although the reflections and the eye strain that comes from not being an e-ink display are notable downsides. Being able to see yourself when taking a photo with a cover screen preview, using it in tent mode, having two apps side by side, having what is not far off an iPad mini in your pocket, and actually this screen is a whole lot nicer because they haven't updated this in years. The crease is also basically a non-issue anymore, although of course this will get more pronounced as I use it for longer periods, but it's certainly starting from a much better place than previous folds. It's also fast. This is using the latest, greatest Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy chip. The performance is top-notch. Oh, now this is interesting. I've tested the Fold 8, which I've got here. If I can bloody close the app, there we go. The Fold 8 Ultra and mystery fold. This is the Honor Magic V6 with a 6600 something milliamp hour battery, quite a bit bigger than the 5000 and the 48 we have on here. Now, when Samsung launched these phones, they told me that because of the efficiency savings of the screen, of the chip, of the silicon anode chemistry in the battery, it actually would compete even with these Chinese rivals with much, much bigger capacity batteries. So after 4 hours of YouTube, social media, filming on the camera, playing games, I can tell you in this particular test, Wi-Fi only, we've got the same brightness, same apps. The Fold 8 is on 59%. The Ultra, surprisingly, I thought actually that would be performing better. The Ultra is on 51, but then the Honor, the V6, with its much bigger battery, is on 68%. So 59, 51, 68. If you want the best battery on a Fold, it's going to be probably this V6, or perhaps even the Oppo Find N6. But between these two, that is a little bit surprising to me, but actually the Fold 8 comes out on top between the two new folds. That's not to say I don't have some issues and complaints with the Fold 8. In fact, let me just tell you. First of all, this does not fit properly on my wireless charger in my car. It doesn't hit the charging point unless I prop it up because of its shorter size. Also, while we do have fast charging, what we don't have is the magnets built into the phone. So you don't have access to any sort of MagSafe or Pixel Snap or basically any magnetic peripherals. Like this neckband I use for filming, my iPhone just pops on the back there without a case being required because it has magnets built in. Even if it did fit, and that's another issue, it's not going to hold. So we're going to have to use a case. Now the good news is that all Samsung's cases for this do have the magnets built in, but of course the downside of that is it will make your phone a bit chunkier. However, if your case can come with a little kickstand, that could be quite nice because the only way you can actually hold this up to watch something is by having it in tent mode or leaning the main tablet screen against something. So probably get a case for that reason, but also maybe because this isn't the most durable thing in the world. In fact, I've already scratched the cover screen here, and I'm not quite sure how I've done that. I've been quite careful with it. Also, this is only IP48, and it does not really have any kind of dust or sand resistance, and basically, don't be like this guy.
And the worst part is, it was all my own fault. I should have known better.
Basically, he got sand and grit in the hinge, which isn't ideal. Although maybe it's still not quite as bad as when he filmed me doing this.
Oh no! No!
So while I'm very confident in the hinge and flicking it open and chucking it about and using it every day, just be a little bit careful that if something gets in the hinge or under the screen, or if you accidentally peel a little bit of the screen protector that you're not supposed to pull off, I would still be a little bit delicate with this. A slightly more fundamental issue is with this form factor, this screen size, aspect ratio, if you're scrolling through socials, like look at this, you've got the text there at the top almost cut off. And sometimes I've seen the subtitles at the bottom of Reels cut off. And if you go to the Reel page here, you can see you've got these black bars down the side. What you can do though is actually force the aspect ratio. You can make it, say, 9:16. So this will make sure the entire app is fully displayed, but it is going to give you a kind of nasty, horrible gray background. And it's those sort of things that make me miss a more regular phone. I said this before, but it's still bizarre to me that these folds don't support the S Pen. That's exactly what you might want to do with this screen. Use it for doodling and drawing and designing. Although the 7.6-inch tablet screen is a nice size if you're showing people photos or presentations. And actually, it's a really nice layout for having two apps side by side. Personally, I much prefer this layout, this 4:3 aspect ratio for having apps side by side than the square screen on the Ultra. And Samsung is very good when it comes to the software of folds. I mean, they've been making them for nearly 7 years now. And so split screen multitasking, changing the size of things. You can actually have 3 apps side by side and a 4th one floating on top, having the touch bar at the bottom, having edge panels if it will come up. Well, I've just full screened it. Having the edge panels. You've got all the Galaxy AI. You've also got 7 years of OS support. Samsung are absolutely top tier when it comes to support of the phones. And as a MacBook user, I very much appreciate Quick Share is essentially compatible with AirDrop, so I can send photos and files between the Fold and the Mac. Which is all great and lovely, but then it makes absolutely no sense to me that they've essentially disabled, because I think it's just a software thing they disabled, the Flex window. On the Fold 8 Ultra and on the previous Folds, if you were to say fold it a little bit, it then changes the app, certain apps, mostly first-party apps, but optimizes it for the top and the bottom screen. Now it just does absolutely nothing. That really frustrates me that they're literally gatekeeping a folding flex window software feature for the Ultra. What difference does it make? Also, while I will give them credit for making this feel a little bit easier to open than previous Folds, they've also slightly rounded the inside. It's kind of hard to show. They've rounded the inside a little bit so it's easy to get your fingernail in. Side by side with last year's Fold 7, this definitely requires more pressure to open it, and you have to actually manually open it all the way. I say manually open it all the way. It doesn't like flick open. Oh, and I also noticed when I was doing my little first impressions video with David from the Unlocker,
it's that this one is open more. This one's crooked, and this one is not.
Was this not pointed out when we initially reviewed the Fold 7s last year, that you had to
you have to kind of bend it out, whereas this actually is, I didn't even realize that until now, right. But this is actually flat.
I remember, because you'd be like, okay, but open it, and then an extra like 2 degrees.
Yeah.
However, the downside of this new and improved hinge is that previously you could have it any angle you like. So you could use it as its own tripod, you can shoot up for yourself, you could have it like that and have a Teams meeting using the selfie camera. With the new one, if you go even slightly over 90 degrees, it just flicks open. It's got like this tension, it wants to pull itself open, unlike the previous hinge, which means you now can't have it on a desk and have the camera angled up towards you for a video call because it just flicks back down. It just feels like in a couple of ways this is actually a downgrade from a functional point of view. It is also a terrific wobbler when you're using it on a flat surface, and while we do have stereo speakers, because of the position of them, when you have it open, they are both essentially left firing. But then again, a good pair of headphones solves that. On the plus side, let's go back to some good things. I really like having a fingerprint reader built into the power button. I personally much prefer this over an in-screen reader. If you're right-handed, it makes sense for your thumb. If you're left-handed, it makes sense for your index or your middle finger. But you do, of course, also have face unlocking. How about the old camera? Well, I think you probably know by now, if you've seen a few reviews, that it's absolutely fine. It is not flagship level. It probably should be better for a £1,700 phone, but the priority of this phone is not the camera. If you want that, get an S26 Ultra. I'll tell you what I do like, being able to use the cover screen preview. I can frame myself. Just be careful when you're taking selfies with friends that they are looking at the camera lenses and not the big old screen, because everyone's going to do that. But yeah, it's a dual setup. It's the same 50 megapixel ultra wide as you get on the Ultra, which is great. The main camera, the 50 megapixel camera, is essentially the same one you get on last year's Flip 6. And another way of looking at that, the same sensors you get on the S22 Plus, I think it was. They've used the same 50 megapixel sensor for about 4 years now. That's not to say it's not got better. With Samsung's Pro Visual Engine, the ISP on the chip, it has significantly improved over the years with software, with processing, and it is a good camera. I would give it, I don't know, a 7 out of 10. In good light, it takes a terrific photo, actually. It really is absolutely fine. The difficulty comes in when you zoom in beyond, say, 4x, because of course we don't have a dedicated telephoto here, it's just the two cameras, and also because it is a smaller sensor when you're shooting in low light or difficult lighting, or even particularly if you've got moving subjects, then it does fall down a bit. Although most phones struggle with that, and to be fair, when it comes to video, it actually has some pretty high-end features. You can record in 8K30, you can shoot in log video, you've got the new APV codec, which is a really high bitrate, and dual recording works quite well. Okay. Best use of dual recording, I think. But I do think if the camera is really important to you and this is going to be your main phone, which I guess it probably will be, then maybe save yourself a whole bunch of money and get yourself the S26 Ultra, which has a significantly better camera system. Oh, quick tip though with the camera, make sure you go into the camera assistant and enable 24 megapixel photos. They say it will take a touch longer to process the photo once it's taken, but otherwise, if you do have one of these phones, make sure you take photos in 24 megapixels to get the most out of it. So what do you think? Are you going to buy the more sensible phone that's cheaper and better in most ways? Or are you going to buy the fancy new Fold 8 or potentially the Fold 8 Ultra? Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. If you've already bought one, if you have one in your hands right now, got any tips or tricks or thoughts or ways that you like to use it, share it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.